Okay, welcome to our weekly Cinder meeting. And I should start with the announcements. So sorry, I will not be looking at the camera because I'm trying to do stuff in IRC. So this will be a kind of weird user experience. Okay, so let me type the topics. That's not it. Okay, updates. All right, so first thing, you probably are aware of this, the Berlin Summit has been declared virtual. Um, Let me give the
Big
link to
shock.
the info about that. Now, I haven't heard anything about the PTG. Um, I'm assuming it's
Did,
obviously going to be virtual, but I don't know about the dates, if they're going to do it the same week
So
or what. Do you know
there
anything?
was a
they,
mailing list post.
Oh man.
yeah,
All right.
and they're asking for input as to when we would like to do it.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's not set yet.
So yeah, there's a poll out there. Last I looked, it looked like what was it, 2 weeks before the summit was
Oh, okay.
trending.
Well, there are four options. It was 2 weeks before, the week immediately after, um, and then I forget what the other one, but then like 4 weeks after that, which is, well, we're almost into milestone one by that point.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good plan. Um, okay. So I don't know how I'm missing. All right. I'll look on if somebody has a link to that email or to the poll,
Yeah.
if you could just post it in the um, agenda, that'd be great because I somehow missed that mail. Okay. Um, then other summit related news. Oh, good. Thanks for the show. Uh, so the presentation proposals are due Tuesday coming up. So it's August, which sounds far away, but it's next week. So that's here's a link for that too. And you may have seen the virtual mid-cycle poll. So let me link to that. So the virtual mid-cycle is in 2 weeks, but we need to pick the day and time. So that would be that. Okay. Yeah, one thing I forgot in that poll was that um, Red Hat's closed on that Friday. Um, so I I obviously don't want to do it then. And also, it's a recharge day, and I really feel like I need to be recharged. So anyway,
Nice.
I think the popular daytime for these has tended to be right around the time of a regular weekly meeting. So I'm hoping that Wednesday will be popular. But I'm mentioning this because I may have to do an emergency poll if it turns out that none of the remaining times are good and just offer more choices on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So just so you're aware of that, but hopefully it won't matter. And then also related to the virtual mid-cycle is planning. So please add topics or stuff you want to discuss. There are a couple of things on there already. There's probably more that we can do. Oh, you may have seen my email. This is aimed mainly at the stable maintenance team. Um, we've gotten everything into, so Okado's been tagged end of life, but the branch hasn't been deleted yet. So please don't merge anything into it. I guess you could, it'd just disappear when they delete the branch. But to prevent unpleasantness, just consider it closed. We decided, there was some discussion on the mailing list you may have seen. So we decided to go ahead and merge the last few outstanding things for Pike. It was just in brick and cinder. So those got merged earlier this week. I put up the patch for tagging everything end of life. So that's up. And so that one hasn't been tagged yet. But anyway, please don't merge stuff into it. There aren't any outstanding patches, but there could be a last minute flurry of people just proposing spurious backports. So just be aware. All right, and then other release-related news, Cinderlib 2 was released last week, so congratulations to Gorka. And we cut the stable usury branch, so just so you're aware of that. And then last thing I have on here is timeline. So let me figure out what I was going to say there because I've lost. Right, okay, so as far as timing goes, this cycle has gone like really fast. All right, so this week is R-11. All right, so it's also the milestone 2 and the new driver merge deadline. So we can talk a little bit about that later. We got the Hitachi driver merged and the Dell Power Store. Now there patches up to rename the Dell Power Store. No, I mean not that one. To rename the VX Flex OS, formerly Scale.io driver. But I think that's independent of a new driver, so I'm not worried about that not being merged by tomorrow. And then I want to talk, I'm thinking with Walt's work on the Sapphire SCSI driver, I was inclined not to consider that a new driver, but sort of an extension to an existing driver. Because otherwise we got to like review like crazy. So I suppose I could give it like a driver merge exception for a week or two, but we can talk about that too. But what I really wanted to say was the mid-cycle part 2 is R-9, so 2 weeks from now. And then 3 weeks from that, we've got the non-client library release deadline, followed the next week by the feature freeze and milestone 3 and the client library releases. And then 2 weeks from that is RC1. So one of the focuses on the mid-cycle meeting is just figuring out exactly what we can get into Victoria and making sure we've arranged reviews and stuff. Liang Fang isn't here. He's got a power failure problem, but the volume local cache stuff is still out there. I think he's revised, I left some comments, I think he's revised it. So please take a look at those patches if you can. I'm not sure of the state of the, I should be typing this right because I'm talking about stuff. So volume local cache is still an issue. We could use some reviews. And what was the other thing? Not sure about it's the in-flight encryption effort. I don't know what the official name is. It impacts Cinder. I guess I should type this too. But the main impact on Cinder is on OS Brick, because Brick is going to be the library that contains the encryption code. So there was a Brick patch, and I reviewed it, and I think it's being revised. So that's another thing we can look at. And then, thank you. And then there's, I might as well put this link to the Victoria schedule. And a reminder of the Victoria release schedule, just so you can see everything laid out there. And I guess that's it for updates. Anybody have any general issues they'd like to share with the team before we move on? I'm thinking that's probably a no. Okay. Okay, then let's move on to our topic. So first topic is I probably should have talked to Sean about this before the meeting, but I ran out of time. But I see Sean's here, so that's good. So there's what are obligations? So here's the situation. I should have a link, but I don't. There's a whole bunch of outstanding patches to OS Brick, a lot of them around RBD. So my thought was we should hold off. Well, so there are two thoughts. We could either do a release now without the RBD stuff and then do a release later with all that stuff in there. Or we could hold off and just release once we get all this stuff in there. But I wasn't sure what our obligations are as far as the OS Brick library goes. I think it's encouraged to release now. So there's an updated version. There's not a lot in there. Looking at the log, it's, I don't know, eyeballing it. It's like we're 10 commits out from tag 310. No, well, it's probably a little more. It's like
It's more than that. There's like 10 significant ones are RBD changes, several test environment changes. We updated high code style. We've added the dependency on Oslo context. We've added iSCSI initiator utils stuff and Oslo serialization.
Yeah, so I mean, so what's your feeling? I mean, do you think it's worth going ahead and releasing them?
Yeah, I think in general with these cycle with intermediary libraries, it's better to get changes out more frequently. We
Okay.
can always do another release next week if more of the RBD changes get in there, but the
Okay.
risk you have is, with libraries, if you just keep saving up things, waiting for more stuff to get merged, then all of a sudden, towards the end of the cycle, you release and there's a whole bunch of changes, and then something breaks, and you got to figure out which change actually caused it. And so
Okay.
they're pretty lightweight. I would just do it.
Okay. Then I'll that sounds good to me. All right. So I don't want this release to discourage people from reviewing stuff in OS Brick. In fact, quite the reverse. There's a backlog of stuff that needs to get reviewed, and there's a bunch of RBD changes that are, I don't know that they're, well, they're sort of intertwined. So anyway, so we need to focus that. Okay. So then that answers that question. So we will do a quick release, but continue to review changes. Yeah, in addition to the, all right, yeah, I guess this is a good time to, well, I don't think Walt's iSCSI stuff impacts OS Brick. But okay. All right, that's good. So yeah, I'm inclined. Okay, yeah. So anyway, well, I think it may make sense to do another quick release once a lot of the RBD stuff is in there, just to get that out. But we can work on that. Okay. Any observations or questions about the OS Brick situation?
Not to do with the release, but this reminds me, I think we did the end of life tag patches for Cinder, but did those include OS Brick and Python Cinderlit client and everything like that?
Yeah, so the EOL tags are on all the deliverables.
Okay,
So
I couldn't remember.
except
Thanks.
yeah, no, except for Cinder, what the heck do you call it? Cinder Tempest plugin, which is unbranched. So that's
Okay.
just sitting out there. Yeah, and actually Harvey caught me because I forgot to update the OS Brick hash in the Pike EOL patch after we merged some stuff. So I just pushed the update for that about an hour ago. So yeah, I think we're looking good for that. And then do I have to contact the infra team separately, or do they sort of keep an eye on these things?
There's been a few of the end of life patches, so I think we're probably just going to build up a list of them and
And
then,
then just do it.
yeah, because
'Cause I think,
the only ones that they have to grant special rights to be able to delete branches. No,
okay,
most normal users don't have that ability. So if we just get a list of them, then someone can get those rights temporarily assigned and then just go through and delete it all.
okay, all right, good. So then that's all set. So as far as the project is concerned, Pike and Okada no longer exist. So
Hmm.
that makes me feel like
Yay.
20% better than I was feeling earlier. Okay, all right, next topic is from Gorka. Uh,
Yeah, it's about the Brocade Tone Manager.
yeah,
I
so
have 3 patches fixing it. Tone has already reviewed them, and with those patches, I have it working. It's working
okay,
fine as expected. The code is pretty small. It's mostly test patches.
okay.
So
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to ask you, yeah, so as far as you can tell, those three do it. Was my main question was
yep.
okay,
I mean, I have it working with
yeah,
those 3.
all
I
right,
was able to attach, detach, and I run Tempest, and the only failures were, as far as I know, one is due to a problem that the 3-part driver has with how it does cloning
okay,
in online, because it does some online stuff. I discussed with Walter,
okay.
and the other one, I think, are race conditions inside the 3-part driver specific to
Oh, okay,
Sony. So that's a different problem for me later. Right now, that the zoning actually works as expected.
great.
Zones
Okay,
are being created, destroyed, and everything.
all right, that's great.
Okay.
So what I'd like to do, um, so you may all remember, Brocade itself has dropped support for this thing effective with Train, and they announced that they do not want to support it in Python 3. So our problem is that we have this thing in Train, which supports Python 3 as well as 2, in Usuri, which supports only Python 3, and it hasn't been removed from master yet. So I think at the mid-cycle we can discuss our general approach to maintaining this. But what I really like to do now is I think it makes a lot of sense to merge these patches into master and definitely backport them to Usuri because you can't even use it at all in Usuri. And then probably backport to train also because we're supposed to be supporting Python 3. So I think it's so I wanted to bring that up here because think I think these are low impact. What am I trying to say? As far as stability goes, it's not going to affect anything else. But it's a major. I don't like having the driver in Usuri that we know doesn't work. So I would definitely like to backport that. So that's what I wanted to discuss was just the extent of the changes. So it's these 3 patches, and the link is in the chat and on the agenda. So it
I'm looking at
looks
them right now.
okay. So it looks like a pretty local. So it's a localized change. I think it's worth backboarding, and I think we should do it. So that's what I
Yep,
wanted to
that
discuss.
that all
Was
makes sense.
the feeling of anybody else?
Yeah, it's good to be backported for sure, but I think we should discuss the mid-cycle removing this driver from syndra.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So we can, so this way we'll be focused on how we want to deal with it on an ongoing basis.
Well,
But this is great work to get it.
Gorka owns it now, right?
Sorry, Jay. I don't know if my
Nope.
audio.
I
I
said,
couldn't hear.
you own it now. You've touched it last.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, when are you going to get that CI set up?
That's the part I'm not so happy about because, oh my God, it's so noisy when I turn on the 3-par
Oh, really?
here. That, yeah, no way I'm having that on all day.
Well, if you send me the 3-par, I've got the room for it. So, you just need to set it up.
So you put it in your basement and run the CI off that?
It's not the only CI related thing that'd be running out of my basement.
All right, I'm sorry.
Anyway,
I forgot to
I digress.
write this while we were talking. Um,
I related to Zone Manager. Has anybody or does anybody have customers using it in general, be it Cisco or Brocade? I don't mind.
I think like somebody pointed me to the documentation for NetApp. So maybe Lucio or Fernando can talk about this. And it seemed to say you should use, well, I looked at it really quickly. So I'm not sure if it said you should use Brocade or if this was one of those things if you happen to be using Brocade. But the impression I had was that Brocade was kind of recommended as a switch if you were going to run this in NetApp and Fiber Channel. But I'm subject to correction because I don't know what I'm talking about.
I know
Yeah, I
Dell
was
has a few.
wondering. Oh, you have customers, so they'll
Well,
have
we have a
customers using.
few fiber channel storage devices, and I think, at least in the past, we kind of recommended Brocade for the switches, but I don't know if we have customers using that and using the zone manager.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know some people actually set the zones manually. So I was wondering if there was actually somebody using it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we have an official document recommending Brocade, but I'm pretty sure there are few customers that I see emails from them asking for some support, and they are using Brocade.
Okay.
And are they using Brocade, the switch, or are they using the zone manager driver in syndra as well?
I'm sure that they are using the switch. I'm not sure if they are using the driver.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So, yeah, maybe we can look into this a little bit before the mid-cycle. So we'll have some data to make a decision on. So Lucio, if you could sort of track that down to see if you know of anybody on your side who's using the zone manager, that would be really helpful. But I think for now, this is a good track. So thanks, Gorka, for getting this thing fixed. So we can at least have a driver that works in Usuri for the fiber channel zone manager. So that's good because I really hated having that thing in there and not working. So this is great. So we'll at least get ourselves to a decent state and then we can decide how to move forward. So thank you very much. And sorry that thing is so noisy in your apartment there. But I appreciate you taking one for the team and working this out. Okay, any other comments or questions about the Brocade situation? Okay, so we'll definitely discuss this at the mid-cycle. So please, if you have particular points, feel free to put them on the mid-cycle Etherpad to make sure that we talk about them and you don't forget them in between now and 2 weeks from now. And also, quick reminder, don't forget to take the poll about the date and time of the mid-cycle so that we make sure we schedule it at a time when people who are interested are actually going to be there. Okay, I don't know if Walt's here. Did I? Didn't see him. He may be on the West Coast this week, and so, but anyway, I will sort of represent for Walt then. So Walt's been working, among other things. So sorry, let me transition to the next topic in IRC. Actually, let me summarize this last discussion. Whoops. Okay. So, sorry, I'm talking out loud while I'm trying to think, which isn't working. Let me finish this discussion in the IRC. Okay. Sorry. All right, so topic. Okay, so just wanted to talk about the Ceph iSCSI driver. So Walt has, I think it's like 3 patches, just like Gorka's. Link. So I'm not sure the extent to which that completes the Ceph iSCSI driver. But I guess the reason I wanted to bring this up was tomorrow is the new driver merge deadline. So this is ongoing, but like close to being completed. So I don't know whether I need to give it an exception or whether we just consider this as like a elaboration of an existing driver.
I would say no for an elaboration of an existing driver.
Okay, so it's definitely a new driver.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So is everyone okay with giving a new driver? What would we call it? I guess it's a new driver freeze. Is that? No, it's a new driver merge deadline. I don't know. So we can extend it for this one. Does that make sense, people?
Yes, it makes sense for me. We wanted this driver for a while, and it would be good to get 1 or 2 weeks more for this driver to get it in Victoria.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's extend it to the mid-cycle, and then all right. So that sounds good. So that was the main thing I wanted to bring up. So, but the other thing is the patches are up. So please take a look if you haven't yet. All right. So what we want to say is okay.
Brian, just for historical kind of context, we've usually been pretty strict about the driver deadline because giving driver exceptions kind of opens a door for every driver that doesn't quite make it, coming to the PTL and saying, I'm almost there, give me a little more time. So just be aware that giving an exception for this driver may lead to other, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I think I'm willing to take it for this driver because there have been a bunch of roadblocks on the way.
So one nice thing about this one is at least we can CI this one in normal jobs, right? Like we do the other Ceph driver.
Yeah, that's true. So
has that work been done yet? I've looked a little bit at the code, but I haven't looked to see if he's created CI jobs yet to actually do that.
So the code is like 1 syndra patch and 2 dev stack patches. And the dev stack patches set up the, where did that link go? But I haven't actually tested them out.
I agree with Sean in general about driver deadlines and approve drivers about after deadlines, but this specific driver is a bit different situation because it's community driver. It's not some proprietary with some hardware backend. So
Yeah.
it's a kind of different situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me capture this in the so we got a record in the log.
I'd say though, if no work has been done to set up CI jobs for this yet, I'm it makes me a little worried because I know that a lot of it was kind of duct taped together to, just due to other communities not actually providing the interfaces and things like that. That's not any commentary on the coding that was done for the driver, but
Sure.
it just makes me a little worried that, especially if we don't have CI running yet, that this is something that could easily break at any point between now and the Victoria release, and could totally break by the W release if we don't know that things are working and that we're making sure that the Ceph community doesn't decide to completely change the unsupported way that we're doing these things.
Yeah.
I think probably once the DataStack plugin, if all this code is actually running fine, adding a CI job should be pretty trivial, I think, with this tool. So maybe we can ask Walter to actually add a patch that depends on the DataStack plugin itself. And like you say, make sure that the CI actually runs fine. And then we do the review, or then we can decide. But yeah, I think we need to see a CI job actually working.
Okay. So, all right. So let's. I'm trying to summarize in my head. So I think there's general support in the community to do this. There's a little bit of worry that even though Ubuntu is now packaging components that are needed for this, we would like to actually see that it does work. So I think it's an exceptional case that let's revisit this at the mid-cycle. So we have specific things for Walt to work on. And if it's not running by then we'll just hold this off for W just on, good engineering principles, I guess. So let me type this now into the chat so that it's there. Okay, so I'll put myself on mute so you have to hear my keyboard. And everybody else, please continue to discuss so we can enjoy our time together, which I think was part of the idea of this video conference.
Oh, while we are here, I would like to remind people about release notes that me included, keep forgetting to add them. And this means that when we are going to do a release, usually, I think a couple of times Sean has, probably Brian as well, has been figuring out which ones are missing, adding them later, and it gives them more work. So we should try to remember it when doing reviews and when writing patches. Because I see that, for example, on the Ceph ISCSI volume driver, we don't have a release note saying, yay, we added a new driver.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, please feel free to point that out on the review as something that's needed. Okay, so I think I summarized in the IRC channel what we're included about the set by SCSI driver. So please look at that, and if there's any point you want to add, please do. But yeah, the point about having the actual CI job running is good, because that's sort of missing. So we got the parts together, so please review those. But yeah, we need to be fairly strict. Okay, so I should say this in the channel. Any other?
I didn't know Walt was still working on this. This is good, even if we can't get it in until the next release.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people are interested in this. That's for sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Next one's okay, this one's from Rajat. I looked, I don't think I left a review on your patch yet, but the one thing I did notice was, well, I haven't worked in Cinder long enough to know the general attitude to this, but my feeling is instead of using one exception for multiple cases, that we should have separate exceptions. And you may have already changed this, I don't know. But it was, we've got one new exception, and the message is the problem could be this or it could be that. And I think, what the heck? Exceptions are pretty cheap. We should have an exception for this and a different exception for that if we know which one has actually happened. So that's just a general thing. But yeah, I mean, Rajat would like reviews, so we've had discussion about how to fix this over the last couple of weeks, and I think we came to a consensus, and Rajat posted a patch that does what he thinks we agreed on and would like some feedback about whether everyone agrees that it's actually doing that. So let me put that there. And so anyway, please take a look at that, and we can get the default situation. Oh, there you are, Rashad. I'm sorry. I'm talking because I.
Yeah, hi. So there is one blueprint also, the default types for specific tenants. That depends on this one. So if we could agree on, if I haven't still added the release note and test for this because I wasn't sure the logic was as expected by the team. So if that works perfectly, I have tested this out, and so then I will add the test and release notes. So I also have that blueprint depending on this. So I wanted to get some eyes on this one.
Yeah, I'll type that in the channel. Thanks. So. Okay. Yeah, I should say the default types override has an exceptionally nice looking API for it, so we don't want to hold up work on that for sure. Okay, any other comments or questions? Should say that. Okay, well, that's everything on the agenda. So hey, we've got open discussion. Okay. Anyone have any general topics they would like to bring up?
Like I had one, but I didn't write it down and I don't remember.
Okay. So since we're all on video, so this is still being recorded. If we want to just have like social time for the last 10 minutes, since you can tell in the background, everybody's stuck at home. I can just stop the recording and we can have social time, which I think is a acceptable thing to do. Are there any Cinder topics that we would need to record in the meeting log, I guess is what I'm saying, that people have on their minds? I put a thing in the chat in case anybody's watching.
There's a set of patches I submitted for fixing NFS drivers online extent.
Okay.
And so we still don't have a solution for what if Nova fails to extend the volume. In this case, Cinder would have the volume size consistent. So I will be bringing this to Nova channel and ask for some suggestions. But if you guys have some suggestions as well, I will be happy to listen.
So I've looked at that stuff a little bit, and I think it's going the right direction. But there's a whole bunch of NFS issues that are popping up on a weekly basis, and there's 2 or 3 people out fixing things in that driver right now. So I keep kind of holding off on doing a whole lot with this just because I want to make sure that we don't manage to make stuff even worse than it is currently while we're in the middle of fixing everything there. But yeah, I mean, by all means, everybody can review it and everything. But I think everything around that driver needs a pretty close look right now to make sure we know what we're doing, because there's been a bunch of bugs that have popped up lately that have made it very obvious that there's a bunch of test scenarios that just don't get tested in our CI jobs. And anything like this we change, we really have to stare at and figure out that we know that it's actually working and tested right and all that kind of stuff.
All right, so we need. Yeah, I think it's going to take coordination with Nova. So
if I remember correctly, this fixing this also revealed a bug in the Nova review for this extend work, and I'm not sure where that one ended up. There was some kind of problem that cropped up with encrypted volumes in the Nova patch.
okay, anything else about this or other technical topics? Yeah. So I don't know if anyone's also monitoring the Cinder channel, but yeah, this has been bothering me too. So some CIs are looking quite good, um, but it's like a minority of them for the third-party CIs. So yeah, I think I'll have to do a thorough review around the mid-cycle. So I guess I should probably do this every meeting for the next couple meetings. So please, if you're a third-party CI, well, if you're a driver maintainer and you're also a third-party CI maintainer, please take a look. If you're a driver maintainer and you're in the position where third-party CI is handled by someone other than you, please take a look at the current results for how your CI has been looking and, nudge them. Yeah, I guess that's about all I got to say about that right now. But yeah, it's been, yeah, please take a look at the results, get a sense of whether the problems are on your end or are on test instability. Because we have had some of the Zool jobs are looking pretty unstable, and I'm starting to think there may be resource issues. But in your third-party CI, you may not have the same kind of resource constraints for VM size like we've got in the gate. So anyway, please take a look at your results. Let me give Sean has the service that monitors this thing. And he posted the link in there. Thank
Yeah,
you, Sean.
I put it in there. Yep.
Yeah. So please check out your CI report and please proactively make sure that things that are showing up there as issues are not issues by the time we start reviewing them to do our, cyclically unsupported driver marking festival. So that's kind of a bummer. So, but anyway, let's look at it in a positive way. Take this opportunity to improve your CI during the Victoria cycle. So, any other?
Yeah, any positive topics we can end on?
Okay. Well, I think we got 5 minutes left. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. So, in case that's inhibiting people from sharing positive or negative responses in general. But thank you for attending. Do I need to do like a follow-up poll to see if this is worth doing again? Yeah, maybe I'll do that just so people can express it. But it was an interesting experiment. And we're set to do it again in a month. Okay, so I will end the meeting in the IRC. And I will stop recording, but we can stick around and have social time.